He's back. TNA just made the biggest free agent signing they could possibly make, and it's one which makes a lot of sense to the HAWK. Recently, TNA has been bringing back lots of stars from the past, and this was just so smart, because it's all been leading up to the biggest signing in the recent TNA history. And the thing is, some people will laugh at this signing. It's EC3, a man who has already won the world title twice in this company, and the man is a draw. However you feel about his Control Your Narrative run or his NWA run, people are interested to see what this guy is up to. You put EC3 in a thumbnail and people click it. Plus, TNA is lacking in main eventers, so it all kind of makes sense. And his NWA run was actually pretty good. The first half at least, when he was actually trying. I'm not sure what was going on the second half. But the man literally gave Tyrus his best match ever. Tyrus. So let's all get on board with this. Man, I bet all the other companies are shaking in their boots because this guy is going to be motivated to prove everybody wrong. And it's always the way of doing wrestling YouTube. You're about to release a video and then something changes the second you're about to do it. EC3 has now shown up in Juggalo Championship Wrestling, which means for the second time they think they've signed a main eventer and they're going to lose their main eventer. Because JCW is taped a few months in advance, they're going to lose their main eventer to a bigger company. Rousseau just can't catch a break. The crowd sucked for his return on the pay-per-view. Nobody cared. And then this show happened. TNA, what are you doing? The lack of effort is shocking. Your treatment of EC3 on this show was a plate of diarrhea. He's a former 2-time champion, and this is the best you could do? I'm not asking for much, I'm just asking for a modicum of effort and creativity. It's so easy, and yet you fail to complete a basic task. My beak is shaking with rage right now, honestly. I wish you could just see how mad I am. It's like somebody went to a public restroom, pissed all over the floor, and just left it there, and that's how much effort went into this. Anyway, also at the pay-per-view, Zaya Eastside turned heel. Mustafa Ali won the international title, Casey Navaro returned, which is a big plus, and most importantly, Eddie Slapnut Edwards did not win the world title. I repeat, he did not win the world title. Zolf Diggler will be down to the commentary desk. The match he is watching is AJ Francis taking on his former little friend Casey Navaro. It feels like this should perhaps be on pay-per-view. Actually, what am I saying? Of course it should be on pay-per-view. Why isn't it on pay-per-view? They both have generic rap songs which blend together and sound forgettable. This is his first match back since smashing his knee up. He looks like Juventud Guerrero. Big size difference here. Navaro reverses an early chokeslam attempt with a head scissors. He keeps using his speed, which works, but he fails on trying to lift up the morbidly obese AJ Francis. Navaro sends him out the ring and he wants to dive. Francis blocks him mid-dive and drops his face into the apron. He keeps up the charging into the ring pole. Francis is enjoying this match now. He hits a huge throw in the ring to Juventud Navaro and he's getting destroyed in there. Navaro does manage to drop Francis on his massive melon head with a DDT, and he starts throwing dropkicks. He does a decent job getting the crowd to rally behind him, considering he was a heel last time they saw him. Navaro gets him on the second rope where he hits an ankle slam. He'd been trying that move all match, so that's kinda cool. But it's not enough to get the JOB done though. Casey Navaro just dives into a spear now. No pin is made. Zolf Diggler has risen from the commentary desk. That distracts Francis, and Navaro rolls him up for the free. AJ Francis is a jobber lately. The camera comically cuts to show the Slapnut system. Miss Pierce, of course, was a heel the whole time, who didn't see that coming. Now it's time for EC3. He talks about how he was the champion and carried this company. He also says he went away as a failure. Now he's on his comeback for a crusade which starts with Eric Young, but it doesn't end with Eric Young. It's time for a quick advert break from us. Who's that wrestler? Yeah, so if you're watching last time, it was Umaga. No, I wasn't drunk off lager, it was in the last TNA saga. Here they come, the biggest bunch of slapnuts on TV. They are unbearable. Half of this faction is so overexposed and worthless. Actually, it's more than half if you include their manager, Miss Piss. I think if they focused on someone else, literally anybody else, the ratings would go up. Slapnuts is like a plaster on a gunshot wound. Beyond Average Brian Myers isn't exactly much better. He brags about beating the Hardy Boys for the tag titles. He has nothing interesting to say and hands the mic to his owner. Eddie Slapnut Edwards thinks he should be the world champion. He thinks he only lost the world title due to Moose. Didn't Moose beat all of them up already? Why are we going back to this? His wife screams into the mic in an unbearable tone. Please get these people off my screen. They are unbearable. They suck so badly. They've never done anything remotely interesting. No storylines, constant telly time, constant title matches. They've been here for years now without much changing. Yeah, they changed the members out, but everything's still the same. I'm begging you, TNA. They have been the worst part of the show for years. They look like a collection of homeless people covered in piss. The stench. Oh, the stench. What do? Blackmail the TNA owners? Why are they always in such a prominent spot on this show? The whitest in charge, the boy from Bradford, Leon Slater, makes the save. He tells them all to shut up. He calls Cedric Boo Boo Face, a term coined by the leader of the Grey Crew, Eric Bischoff, about Cowboy James Storm when he didn't want to lose. Slater brags that he is almost the longest X Division champion of all time. I mean, you can probably disregard about 3 months of that reign, let's be honest. Slapnut Edwards calls him lucky. Here comes the Moose. He calls them all bitches except Miss Piss, who has balls hanging from her chin. Moose is a dumbass for falling for Eddie's wife. We all saw it coming. It doesn't make Moose look good. He calls Brian Myers Edge's bitch, and Miss Piss is the biggest bitch in TNA history. I thought you said she wasn't a bitch. The boy from Bradford wants a fight now. They don't have the authority to actually do this, and Daria has to spray. She looks like a fetish model in a skin-tight latex with freakishly large shoulders. Slater says Santino is the better general manager. This angers Daria Spray. She punishes them by putting them in a 4-on-2 handicap match. Oh. Let me guess, it's in the main event. I am so fucking sick of seeing these 4 slapnuts in the main event. Every single episode of TNA is these 4 idiots in the main event. Nothing ever changes. It's boring. It's the weakest spot on the show every week. Why am I skipping the main event every week? It shouldn't be that way. The Hawk wouldn't piss on them if they were a toilet. They all need to be smacked so hard in the gut that they piss off back to the indies. They should actually make it so that EC3 is here to take out Eddie Slapnut Edwards for good. This actually makes sense, as they would both talked about carrying the company in recent weeks. Eddie kind of replaced him too. That's what I would do anyway. It's way more interesting than this. Daria Spray meets with Elijah in the locker room. He complains that he was hit with a guitar on pay-per-view and he wants a rematch against Cool Kane Kaz. She makes a phone call to Cool Kane to find out if he's up for it. He says no. Elijah will spray for Daria Ray. Here comes the Order 4 Dorks. This will see Tasha Steelz wrestling. Ali cuts a promo first saying how great they all are. He also brags about his new title belt. It's nice to see him doing well for a change. He says he's the first champion in a while who isn't a crackhead in this company and needing a second chance. The Hardy Boys are on their 7th or 8th chance. He will now do an open challenge for his belt, including wrestlers from the indies. But not yet. Wow, so they're ripping off the Mike Mondo gut check special, are they? I mean, if you're going to steal from somebody, Mike Mondo's a pretty good person to steal from. Can we put everyone on steroids and make them all angry and pepped up like a rabid dog now? But not yet, because Tasha is going to be facing the Pebble, Jada Stone. She's been a real rock in their sock for the last couple of months. They would like to throw this Pebble back into the sea. It's a frantic brawl to start the match. As they battle, they decide to show the empty arena for some ungodly reason. The Pebble does dive off the apron, but they just collapse to the floor. Everything goes silent. We come back from an advert break to see Tasha hitting a sort of Falcon Arrow for a 2. Pebbles gets a huge hope spot before she's kicked back down. They talk about Lockdown returning to TNA, which is really cool. I always like that pay-per-view. 10 years since they had one, apparently. Pebbles is back in with a sling blade. The Stone crushes her with a diving double knee and a split-legged moonsault for a 2. Tasha makes a comeback and awkwardly goes rolling into the ring. Pebbles kicks her and tries a handspring, which Tasha transitions into a German suplex. Pebbles comes back again with a DDT off the ropes. Now she hits a Northern Lights suplex, which she then tries to follow with a front suplex, which doesn't look great. The Pebbles starts to think about the skipping stone. Order 4 distract her, and Tasha gives her a cutter from the top. It's not over. Order 4 are sent to the back. Pebbles hits the handspring stunner for the 3. She calls that one the Boulder Dash. Not a good match. Something felt off here. Several moves and spots looked blown. I think this match was meant to be better than it was. Then there is some screaming as Alicia Fox is high again or something, but it's not a good high. Rosemary meets with Joseph Park, the brother of Chris. You know, Abyss. They hug it out. He says he's going back up north to the WWE. Tessa Blanchard's chin is still wandering around. She's starting to get really annoyed with all the nerds in this dead realm place. She then gets kidnapped, but a big fight starts. The Nemeth twins tell Casey Navaro how good he is. The Slapnut system... they get more TV time than ever for some reason. Dolph tells them to piss off. He's not a hard man to find. Ryan Nemeth says he doesn't like this and he goes to call his mum on the phone. What a bunch of wacky characters. So you can set up a future Slapnut system match, but you can't set up anything for anybody else who we actually care about? Here comes world champion Michael Santana. He wants to have a fight against a proud member of the BBWs, that's Bold Boys of Wrestling, the Birdman, Rich Swann. He can't believe that he's just been offered a world title shot. He also can't believe that Santana has managed to turn his life around from the gutter. But most of all, he can't believe it's not butter. Santana offered Swann this title shot because he is in the best shape of his life, so he deserves it. Mike Santana calls out Darius Bray as he would like her to agree to the world title match for next week. What an incredible creative storyline. No word on if the match is accepted. EC3 is going to be having his return match to TNA tonight. Lei Ying Lee has a promo speaking English where she admits that she can't speak English. Along the way in wrestling, she fell in love with Xia Eastside. She supported her on her journey, and they transitioned and travelled everywhere together. They have become the best of friends. She starts to show some personality and cries. Why did you do it, Eastside? Why? Eastside refuses to say why she did it. Unfortunately, it's the most intriguing part of the show. Here comes EC3. He tries to milk the crowd's reaction when he's jumped by an unwashed foreskin Eric Young. I wonder if that EC3 superfan still has his jacket. EC3 hits a Thez press and roars at the crowd for their approval. He kind of gets it, to be fair. Eric fights off for 1% by grabbing an eyelash. A blinded EC3 charges at the ref and Eric Young, but they all sort of slop against the ropes and nobody falls out of the ring. After a bit of a struggle, they eventually fall out the ring. This is supposed to be a ref bump. Then the bell rings, and for some reason it's ruled a non-contest. EC3 misses a chair shot. Young traps his head in a chair, but he is reluctantly saved by security. Unfortunately, they're morons, and they allow EC3 to charge. Eric sidesteps and smashes EC3 into the stairs. Wow, welcome back to TNA, EC3. He looked like a complete joke. Bland, no storyline, and getting beaten up by the apparent gatekeeper. BDE looked more effective against Eric Young than EC3 did. The match went 1 minute. The crowd chant one more time, which shows that they already hate EC3. If you're gonna bring EC3 back, he needs to be doing a storyline. He needs to be talking about how he's gonna get the company back for his auntie. Or at the very least, how he's gonna get the company back from Slapnut's reign of terror. Give him some damn reason to be back, instead they just shove him on the show. This was not good, and I think the whole thing made him look really bad. It's not how the Hawk would have booked it. If you keep doing this stuff, we'll end up with a complete repeat of his time in the WWE. This return was horrible. It's like somebody took a dump in the ring and left it to turn white with mold. I could write better storylines in my sleep. What are we doing here, TNA? You must have heard of how important momentum is in wrestling. Well, you just blew it. You can't re-debut him now. It honestly feels like anybody who returns to TNA is forced to run a sort of gauntlet of defeats and bad booking before TNA decides if they're going to push them or not. Rosemary meets with a man called Frank. They make office talk. Mara Sade and Ali discuss what the real world is like. Then they run into Maleficent. Alicia Fox is high again. Tessa Blanchard's chin demands that Rosemary frees her from this realm. She won't do this, so Tessa beats her up. You can't really blame her. All of the characters meet up with their friends. Rosemary has managed to steal a chunk of somebody's haircut. Tessa complains to Father James Mitchell. It certainly wasn't his hair. He tells them to go through a door. They all leave the realm. Father James Mitchell flirts with Maleficent and says he'll be her daddy. He'll be a coke daddy, that's for sure. What did this have to do with sin? I am so confused. Somebody in the darkness asks what the hell was that? The arena goes crazy and the heel girls and Tessa's chin crawl out from under the ring, choking on the stench of their own farts. Rosemary and Mara Sade are also back from the realm, but for some reason they are allowed to come down from the ramp. Probably a good thing, the stench was already unbearable under the ring. Rosemary is outnumbered, and predictably, this is the return to life for Ali. Mustafa Ali hits super kicks and has some energy as she takes the heels apart. I feel like this show feels massive now. This is going to change the game for TNA. I love me some Ali. Anything to delay Tessa from going for the title, right? Matthew Hardy says he never wanted the tag titles anyway, and he threatens the hippies and says he wants a singles match next week. He is almost broken. Jeff is trying to learn how to click his fingers.
Dude, I wish I knew how to make that snapping sound with my fingers. It's hard, man. Some people are just gifted, man. It's not fair, dude. I'm supposed to be the most gifted man from North Carolina.
Jeff screams like Will-O-the-Wasp. It ends. The main event is the Slapnut system versus the boy from Bradford and Moose. I skipped it because it's repetitive and I feel like I've seen this main event 60 times. Surprisingly, Cedric Alexander wins the match for the Slapnut system. Without being too harsh... What did I say that wasn't true here? Fair enough if you like this show, but it could be so much better if you think this show is good and you have no creativity. I see gap after gap after gap that TNA failed to exploit. Over the last few months, I've tried to create my own excitement for this show, but all it offers is excrement. It's felt some effort was about to be used at times, like the Macklin vs Santana storyline, but then nothing happens. It's still better than last year when random NXT people all over the show getting title shots for no reason. But this show could be so much better if they hired a writer. The Slapnut system have got to go. It's the worst thing in wrestling in 2026, and if you don't agree with that, you're nothing but pricks.